There have been many different versions of Minecraft, different features that have been in the game. Some of them changed and a lot of them removed. I'm in Indev right now. I'm sure a lot of my viewers know what this is, but if you don't know, Indev is a very early version of the game. We're talking pre-beta, pre-alpha, before InfDev even, you had Indev. So this is a very early version of the game. And a lot of people don't know about the special features that this version had, I guess just because it's so old. And I can talk about that later, but there's one feature in particular that I wanted to show off. It's just a feature that I don't really understand why we don't have it today. Like, it's such a cool feature, and it was here in Indev, so, you know, why is it not here in the game over a decade later? So basically, I'm here in my Indev world. Indev worlds are a limited size, and I'll talk more about that later. But if I just go anywhere in my world and I press F7, we get this short little screen that says grabbing large screenshot. Now what that does is take what's called an isometric screenshot. The game calls it a large screenshot, but most people call it an isometric screenshot. And just look at this. Take a look. This is what you get. If you go to the file path that was listed on that little screen, you find this. This is the isometric screenshot. It's a screenshot of your entire world, and you get this overhead isometric view of it all. And it takes a screenshot of your world at whatever moment you took the screenshot, right? So if you build something, that'll show up in the screenshot too. And I find this such a cool feature. I mean, this is really awesome. And it feels so well suited to Minecraft. Like, it looks so good because Minecraft is, you know, a blocky pixelated game. It just fits so well. And it almost makes me think of like an old RTS or like RPG game like Diablo or something that with the top-down view. It's such a cool feature, and it's very fitting for Minecraft. You can zoom in, and it's actually pretty high quality, the pictures. They're pretty high resolution. You can see my little house here with the path I didn't finish, and my castle over here. Very just like classic Minecraft castle that I wanted to build. Now there are, as I understand, you know, mods, there's programs that do very similar things for various versions of the game, but this was in the game. This was in vanilla Minecraft. It was in vanilla Minecraft, I mean, gosh, well over 10 years ago, and then they removed it. In my opinion, out of all the removed features in the game, this has to be the best one, and it confuses me why they removed it, because it's so cool and it fits Minecraft so well. Now, the one obvious reason why this was an Indev and then got taken out later is because in InfDev we got the infinite world generation. And since this takes a screenshot of the entire world, you can't really do that with InfDev. But I feel like that's not really a good answer. I mean, it only takes you 1 minute to think of the solution, which would be, you know, just take a screenshot of a limited portion of the world. You don't have to take a screenshot of the entire Minecraft world. There you go. Problem solved. So I think they took these out because obviously they weren't working with InfDev, but I think Notch planned on re-adding them. I've found some things that say he was like, maybe towards the end of beta, he was planning on re-adding them, but then they just never got around to it, I guess. And it's just, I don't know, it's crazy to me because this was in the game. This was in vanilla Minecraft, and it's so cool, and now we don't have it anymore. It feels like it would be probably pretty easy to implement. And there's other interesting things about this version that I honestly never knew about. I've been playing this game for well over 10 years, and I never really knew about Indev. I didn't understand what was so fascinating about it. I think one of the coolest things about Indev is just there's some sort of playfulness to it. I don't know if that's the right word, but it really does feel like we're just in the early stages of the game. And, you know, Notch is just playing around with this concept that he's still developing. He's having fun. He's adding the features that he thinks, oh, that would be fun. Let's put it in the game. And somehow, just playing this version for a little while, it really does bring me back to that. Just for a moment, it brings me back to that sense of early wonder when I first started playing Minecraft, and those simple, satisfying gameplay loops of, you know, make a little house, go into the caves and find some resources, then come back before the monsters get you. Even the loading screen has little fun things like eroding soil and stuff like that. just little, I don't know, there's just sort of a sense of fun to this version. Not that other Minecraft versions aren't fun, but I don't know, it feels more like a playground, more like a sandbox. The identity of the game is really like coming out in this version, I feel like. But I've talked about the isometric screenshots. I think that's probably the best feature that's been removed from the game. But there's another feature that I'm sure people are expecting me to talk about, which is another thing that's not in the game today. And it's not entirely like fully removed, but well, I'll just show you. So like I said, Indev has limited worlds. This is the last version of Java, or the last versions rather of Java that had limited worlds. After this, we got the infinite world. Yeah, these are limited worlds, and what comes with that is these world generation options. So if I go into the menu here, I can press generate new level, and that gives me all these options to make a new world. And honestly, this version is just so fun to go into and just play around with the world generation. Just play around with this version like it's almost like more of a toy than a game. The limited worlds do definitely add some of that playfulness I was talking about. It's kind of hard to explain why, but it just feels different to be in a limited small world instead of a huge infinite world. It kind of has a sort of like terrarium vibe. You know those old maps where you'd be like inside a jar or something? It kind of feels like that, like you're inside your own little terrarium. And it's kind of fun. It's like a cute little vibe that gets added to the game. It's a different experience. But you don't have to be stuck with the normal island. Like I showed you, there's 4 different options here. We can change the type, we can change the shape, size, and the theme. Now this gets really crazy, but we'll just start with the more kind of normal ones, shape and size. Let's start with shape. So the normal shape is square. Let's try to make a long world, and I'll show you that. So here's a long world. It's still the island. We didn't change any other setting. But as you can see, it's kind of short across one way. I think if I move across here, you'll see, yep, there's the other coast. So it's pretty short across this way, but it's long across this way. And let's see if I can get a better vantage point. Whoa, look at that hole. Yeah, the terrain generation is very different too in this version. Like it's very kind of jagged and fractured. Kind of cool, but sometimes kind of annoying to build in. Okay, so I just pillared up, and you can see, actually it's still kind of hard to see, but you can see across, it's very long like that. And I'll go ahead and take a screenshot and put it on screen. But I always thought this was kind of an interesting shape. This would be a good shape for like a multiplayer team game. Like, I don't know, any sort of game like Castle Wars or something like that, where one team starts on this end and the other team starts on that end. Maybe like Capture the Flag or something. Check out this screenshot. So this thing, honestly, these long islands kind of remind me of like a battleship or something. They're very interesting to look at in the isometric screenshots, but kind of cool. Okay, so next up, let's check out the deep shape. So this one, you might be confused at first because it looks just kind of like a smallish island. So if I get up to the vantage point here, you can see it just looks like, you know, an island, but tiny. But what's actually going on is the entire world is like a tall, not a cylinder, a tall like rectangular prism. You know what I mean? So at the top, it seems, you know, pretty small, but you're gaining area downwards. The world is a lot deeper, so you have more room to dig. Now, something kind of funky happens if you take a screenshot of this and look at it. So look at this screenshot here. I'm showing you the entire screenshot. It's this weird long thing. And like the island is at the top for some reason, and then there's a bunch of like dead space down at the bottom. But what I think is going on, this is just my theory, is that the game is sort of rendering the entire underground, and that's why the island kind of gets pushed to the top. But because it's covered by, you know, water, you don't see the underground. It doesn't actually show. You just see the ocean. So that's kind of a weird quirk of the screenshots with the deep world generation. All right, now let's take a look at size. So we've been doing normal size, but let's try a small world real quick. Now this is basically exactly what you would imagine to happen with a small world. It's just a normal island, but smaller. Definitely accentuates that feeling I was talking about, that feeling of being in an isolated world, like kind of like in your own little terrarium. And look at how cute this one looks like. I'm telling you, a lot of these could be screensavers or like backgrounds for your computer. They're so cool. Okay, now let's try a huge size world. These are honestly pretty cool. And I'll show you one right now. If we come out and we look at this huge world we just generated, you can see already, just from looking around, you can tell it feels quite a bit bigger, doesn't it? Let me try to get to a better vantage point. See some exposed coal and iron here. Again, kind of interesting, weird terrain generation back in this version. Very, very early version of the game. Now, I tried to climb up here, but honestly, it's so big that I can really barely see the edges over there. You know, from the islands we've been on, you can tell the size is way, way, way bigger. I personally probably wouldn't play like a long time world in Indev just because it's a bit too limited for my taste. But I imagine if you did, you'd probably want to have a huge world because it just gives you, you know, so much space, so many resources, more areas to explore as compared to just the normal size. I might as well show you one of the smaller quirks of this version right now before I forget. So if I turn on music, I had music off, but if I turn it on and so there's the music. Now watch what happens if I walk over here. The music went away. Yeah, so the music in Indev is like location based. It's not ambient. It starts at wherever you're standing, and then if you move, it goes away. So you can walk away from the game's soundtrack. That's just a really weird little quirk I found. It's very, very strange. Definitely something that would be in Indev. Okay, now let's go ahead and start checking out the different world gen options. So we looked at shape and size. Let's look at type now. This is where it starts getting a little bit interesting. So we have floating, I'll save that for last. Flat and inland. Let's look at inland. Inland is pretty boring in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of inland. It's basically just the normal generation, except instead of being surrounded by water, you're surrounded by land. Just like looks like a super flat world that you're surrounded by. So yeah, that's just like, I don't know why, but this is like weirdly kind of depressing to me, just being surrounded by land. I don't like being landlocked. I feel kind of trapped for some reason, even though they're both limited worlds anyways. There is one really fun thing you can do on these inland worlds though, and I'll show it to you right now. So if I start walking out past the world, you can see there's no world border, but what's happening? It's like my running's getting slower. There's like a rubber band effect, so that's how they keep you in the world, and you're not allowed to leave. If I like go here, you can see it just starts pushing me back. If I run far enough though, if I just keep going until, you know, I'm basically stopped, you can do something kind of funny. Okay, I've slowed down quite a bit at this point. You can see I'm barely moving as I'm trying to walk forward. Now if I run back, watch what happens. You get super speed. Like you're sprinting or something. I don't know, I just thought that was kind of a funny thing. A little fun thing to do in Indev. Alright, let's check out a flat world real quick. These are basically the inland world, except it's flat, as you could probably figure out. I don't know if I would play on one of these worlds, but just being here is, I don't know, there's something kind of charming about it. I actually kind of like it. It reminds me of like old retro games, like old fantasy games or something, where the levels would just be like fields of grass with some trees scattered around. Like, I don't know, that was their idea of a forest or something. I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm in like an old Zelda game, maybe. All right, now let's look at probably the best world type that everyone likes, the floating world type. You can probably imagine what this is going to look like. So here we have a floating world, and just look how awesome this is. Can fall off the edge and die, but you know, it's pretty cool. It's kind of reminiscent of the Aether mod. I actually never played that mod. But yeah, it's kind of like that, or I think there was like a floating world generation type in Minecraft once. I don't know if that's still in the game, but maybe you can do it with like a, I don't know, data pack? I'm not sure. You actually see the islands where they kind of taper down. It's really cool generation, and you can see the ores in there. It'd be kind of fun to have a world, a floating world, and play on here for a little while. This is so fun, all these different world generation options. I kind of wish part of this was in the game again. I mean, obviously we have infinite worlds now, but wouldn't it be kind of interesting if you had an option to make a limited size world? That could be kind of fun. Just like imagine making bridges across all these islands and like making a whole little kingdom up here. That would be so cool. Okay, let's actually take a look at the screenshot for a floating world, because they're always awesome to look at in my opinion. Like, look at this. This is so cool. This could definitely be like a background or screensaver or something. I don't know. I really, really wish these screenshots were back in the game. So like Minecraft-y for some reason. Okay, so we looked at all the options except the theme. Now, this is pretty interesting. So we have 4 themes here. You have normal, which is the one we've been looking at, hell, paradise, and woods. Now let's look at paradise first, because I feel like that's the least different one. Paradise, honestly, it took me a while to figure out what's even different with paradise. I think maybe the sky's a different color. It seems like a lighter color. And then like the distribution of trees is kind of different. And then there's a lot of flowers. So that's basically what paradise is. Not super interesting, but I mean, if you're into flowers, that's kind of cool. Very sandy as well. I'm looking at the screenshot now and there's a lot of sand. So that was the paradise theme. Let's try the woods theme. So this one's kind of weird. Oh, I got trapped in by a tree. This one's kind of weird because the sky is like cloudy now. It's like an overcast sky. And as you can probably tell from the name and just from looking around, it spawns a bunch of trees. And that's basically the woods world type. Now, I'm a sunny kind of guy. I like getting some sun. So I don't know if I'd like playing in this world for too long. But I know people like my friend who likes overcast days and cloudy days. So I don't know, for those types of people, I can see this being like a cozy world. While I'm here, I'll show another weird thing. Now, I'm playing a certain version of Indev. There's different versions, but look at this. When you mine logs, you get just like planks. It's also random, like the amount of planks you get. So that's kind of weird. And also, I don't know how you would get just logs in this version. I'm not sure if that's different for different versions of Indev, but yeah, it's just a weird little quirk. So that's the woods world type. Very weird because the screenshot is like darker. Because I guess the light level in the world is lower, so it just bases it off of that. The trees are so dense. Oh my gosh, this thing looks crazy. Okay, finally, our final option to look at is the hell theme. You can probably imagine what this is gonna be like. It's basically like a proto-nether, and to me it kind of looks like Doom, like an old version of Doom. But it's interesting because there's no ceiling here. Instead, you just have this blood red sky. Definitely not ominous at all. And instead of netherrack, everything's just dirt, except for by the coast. Sometimes you get grass on the coast, like over there. Not sure where that happens, but that's just kind of interesting. And yeah, this it would really suck to live here. Oh, obviously all the water is changed with lava. I should probably mention that. Also, it's dark all the time. There's not really like a daytime here where mobs can't spawn, so mobs will keep spawning. My gosh, that pig is living really on the edge. Just pacing. Oh my god! Please don't. I saw the pig. Please, for your own safety, go back inland. Go back. Oh my god, no, you bastard! You pushed me in. Whoa, that's weird. Okay, I literally just noticed this. I punched him and got 2 different types of wool. That's a weird little thing. I never knew that happened. Alright, well, I guess we'll make a new level. So that was the hell world type. Yeah, look at these. Like I said, it just bases the screenshot off like the light level in the game. So this one looks super dark compared to like the saturated lava on the edges. Really weird. Okay, so that's all the individual options. And you can get some pretty cool stuff by just playing around with this and figuring out different combinations. Honestly, one of the most fun things to do, and probably what most people do, is just play around with the floating world type. There's a really cool thing you can do with doing a floating world and doing a deep shape. So let me show that to you right now. So here we are on our floating world, and there's, instead of a bunch of islands kind of spread out on the same level, there's like multiple islands, one on top of the other. So I don't know, you'd have to build like stairways and ladders up and down. Well, there's no ladders in this version, so you'd have to build stairways or something up and down. I think we might be on the lowest level here because it's pretty dark. Nope, there's another one below us. Now the screenshots of these look really insane sometimes. Like, look at this. That is so cool. That would be a great phone wallpaper. I think I saw someone do that before. Yeah, just, man, these are so great. Another one I really like is pretty basic, but it's just floating and huge. For some reason, it looks really, really cool in the screenshots, and I'll show one to you. Look at this. Look at how cool this is. Wouldn't it be great to play on a world like this in later versions of the game? And what I really like about these worlds is the isometric screenshot. The huge worlds look so cool in the screenshots, especially the huge floating worlds. Like, look at this thing. It feels like an old Minecraft poster, but it also makes me think of like a cool retro RPG, or like, I don't know, maybe your character would have to travel across these islands and then gain access to each different island from a top-down isometric perspective. That'd be really cool. Ooh, let's try a huge, deep floating world. Let's see what that looks like. That's probably going to be insane. Oh man. Oh, look at this. That looks so cool. I really, really love just playing around this version. It's very, very interesting. Look at how insane this screenshot looks like. It looks like a crazy like fantasy artwork or something. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's one more thing I wanted to show you. I just found this randomly. I thought it was kind of interesting. You do a flat world with a paradise theme. Watch what happens, and we'll make it huge. For some reason, you get a desert. I think it spawns like sand most often on the lowest layer, and since flat is all the lowest layer, it just makes a huge like desert type thing. Some oases. Oh, we got a good size oasis over here. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I don't know, I was just playing with different settings and I got this, and it was kind of funky. Well, I might as well show off this kind of quirk. So just real quick, with the isometric screenshots, there's my guy flailing around with the old walk animation. But if you go into F5 and take an isometric screenshot, there's the screenshot, and right there is me. So I think what's going on is, because I'm in F5, the game is actually rendering my model, and that's why it's in the screenshot. Because I'm pretty sure when you're in first person mode, it doesn't, you know, the game doesn't need to render your actual player model, so it's just not there. But yeah, that is Indev, and I just find this version so interesting. It's so much fun to just play around with. And you should try downloading it and playing with it too. It's pretty fun just to make different world types and see what you get. There's just a sense of like, I don't know, creativity, playfulness. I don't know what you want to call it, but it really just has a different feel. That's basically all I had to say today. Just wanted to talk about some cool removed features from a really old version. And yeah, I'll see you later.